Hello humans, Master Dinnerflex here, bringing you the low quality content you deserve, and today I'm going to go over a quick combo of the new Mayakashi. So, I guess you guys have probably heard, some new Mayakashi cards came out, and what's funny is the one that actually mattered got skipped over because everyone wanted to complain about this card. Ghost meets girl, a Mayakashi and Shiranui's Tale. If you don't know what this does, you probably heard a YouTuber complain about it. You tribute a Mayakashi or Shiranui synchro or link monster, and for the rest of the turn, neither player can special summon except from the graveyard. Which, to be fair, I think this card is also incredibly stupid and toxic. I don't like card design like this. But this isn't the card I want to show off at all. Because this card, as far as I'm concerned, isn't important to why I think Mayakashi got substantially better to the point where this is kind of passable as a deck. So we're just going to leave this face up over here. And what you need for this combo is just the one card starter guy. So, whatever this name is, Hajun, the winged Mayakashi, when it's normal or special summoned, you special summon a Mayakashi from your deck. And the one you're going to summon is Daki, the graceful Mayakashi. So, you can only control this one of this one. And all the Mayakashi have a restriction on while you control any of them, you can only special summon Mayakashi monsters from the extra deck. But we'll get into this effect in just 1 second. Because we are going to synchro into a Synchro 3, which is this one. And here's what matters. Every time a Mayakashi is special summoned from the extra deck, Daki can special summon herself out of the graveyard. That is not once per turn. And you will see what I mean in a moment. So, we will synchro for 5. Daki summons herself. We will synchro for 7. She will summon herself. We will synchro for 9. And you get it. So we'll just go ahead and skip a few steps ahead for 9, 11. And then we will link Daki and the synchro for this. But Daki still summons herself. And prior to this support wave, this is kind of where you had to end, and that was it. Like, this was your board, a 1900 attack do-nothing monster. However, that Link 3, no one really noticed that much, actually helped out a lot. So now we have a Link 3 Mayakashi bridge, and again, that triggers Daki, so we can special summon this, and then we can link those into the Link 4, which is one of this. And then even still, Daki can summon herself like this. So, this is what our board is. Now, why is this interesting? Why do I think this is actually pretty decent? Well, if you're going second, whenever the Daki pulls herself out of the graveyard, Yugioh, the Link 4, can target a monster your opponent controls, negate its effects, and then turn its attack to 0, so you can just punch over whatever you want. But this is where the Link 3 matters a lot. So, while it's in the graveyard, you can banish this card from it, like a Quick Effect Mizuki, because, again, it's Quick Effect, and you can just pull out any synchro you want. Let's say Yugioh. What this card does when it's special summoned from the graveyard, you non-targeting destroy a monster your opponent controls. But not only that, the Yugioh will trigger again to target another monster your opponent controls, negate its effects, turn its attack to 0, and Yugioh can pop another thing. So you're ending up with 2 disruptions from this one card combo. And not only that, this combo creates its own setup, assuming your entire board doesn't get cleared. Let me put an example to it. So let's say you end your opponent's turn with this basic setup. Their deck is terrible. So you can go back into the Link 2, into the Link 3, into the Link 4. You kind of get it. You can just cycle through all these extra deck monsters. Sadaki will pull herself out, and you can get another thing. And then you have the Mizuki again to pull out another synchro. So it's very, very easy to keep looping effects over and over again, while at the same time just constantly disrupting your opponent. That's very cool. It's funny that after all these years, Mayakashi have an actual solid win condition with its own deck, because prior to this support, it literally couldn't do anything. It was not capable of actually doing something. The only time we've ever seen it, like, try to play is with the Eldritch cards, but what was happening is the Eldritch cards were doing the heavy lifting for the Mayakashi, rather than the other way around, which is what you want it to do. So now, you would still play Eldritch in this deck, but now the Eldritch can kind of be its own separate entity to either synergize with the Mayakashi, or to be a backbone until you get this engine going or it fully resolves. It doesn't have to do everything for this engine anymore, so you can play Eldritch and Mayakashi rather than one or the other. You can just do both. And, on the topic of this trap, yeah, it's degenerate, but what's really annoying is its second effect is so incredibly relevant to this deck. Its effect is, while it's in the graveyard, you can banish it from your graveyard to return a banished zombie to the graveyard, aka the quick effect Mizuki, or actual Mizuki, because I am testing it out in this build, and I can show this build off if you guys want to see it later. But that's like the one card combo. Let's put these back in the deck. And I'm going to go ahead and show off a little more complicated stuff with this deck, even though it's still not very complicated. Okay, for the second part of this combo, what I want to show off is when you draw the starter and the extender. We're going to ignore this Mayhem for now because I want to point out something with it. But you will go ahead and do the cycle, which, let's go ahead and skip a few steps. Let's just go ahead and painful choice our entire extra deck. 3, 5, 7, 9, 11, Link 2, Link 3, Link 4, and this is our setup. Like, it's a lot of special summons, and you erase like 8 cards in your extra deck for the one play. But when you have the extender, I've noticed I've been wanting to do this a lot. It is in defense. You go ahead and activate it, and you send Mizuki. Mizuki is a card I think you should play in this deck, even though there's a lot of, like, backup support cards to it. Mizuki is, like, a way to counter any hand traps you get with, like, the extender, so I find it very nice. And then with Mizuki, you will go ahead and summon the spider one. What's the name of this one? Yeah, whatever. The reason I usually end up doing this is because, like I said, Eldritch cards and the trap has a graveyard effect I find very relevant. And I build both. Are you serious? Wow. So, that's a little easy for me to show off. It's actually very nice to mill Eldritch cards, but also milling this is very nice because I'm just going to go ahead and activate it. Let's put Mizuki back. And then during the end phase, we can get an elixir, and then we could probably do some stuff with these. Let's go ahead and link these into the Link 2, just so we can get some more zombies in the graveyard. Because if you use the battle revival effects of these, you actually have to banish monsters from your graveyard for each time you do it. So sometimes loading up on zombies is kind of nice. But yeah, then we can banish this in the end phase. And we can get an elixir. And another play you can do is, instead of sending Mizuki, you can instead send the Golden Lord if you have elixirs already. That way you can revive more than one synchro in a turn, because once you control the Golden Lord, you can just revive any zombie, which is kind of nice. Yeah, and that's basically it. And this is the last thing I wanted to show off with Mayakashi Mayhem. Prior to this support, this card didn't make any sense. Because, yes, you could trigger this multiple times, but the only way your opponent was ever going to let this happen is just by not reading your Mayakashi synchros. All of them need to be destroyed by your opponent, and it's only one. So if they just make Nightmare Unicorn, they invalidate the entirety of this deck. But now, since you can trigger the synchros proactively, this card is another card you can trigger proactively. Let's say this is set. You can go ahead and banish out to summon Yugioh, and if they control a bunch of monsters, you can pop one with this, you can send one with this, and you can negate the last one with this. You can just invalidate their entire board. Or, if they control two monsters, and you kind of want to see if you can dig for a hand trap, you can draw a card. You can set a Mayakashi spell or trap, which one of them will probably be the degenerate one. But you can also set return, which this card can actually Foolish Burial the trap, because once you're actually playing the game is when this card becomes very useless. So actually just using this as a backwards Mizuki is very handy. And then I guess the last one you'll be least likely to use is the Inflict 800 damage. The only time you'll probably ever use that effect is when your opponent is less than 800 life points. But if that's the case, you're just speeding up the process of winning that game. So, yep, that's about it. Thank you all for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know it's not a normal quick combo. There's a lot more explanation to a deck. I just find this deck actually pretty decent and kind of interesting to play with its new support. It actually plays, like, a little more sincere than originally. It doesn't have this long... It actually does what it's supposed to do now, and I really like that. I want to test with this a bit more, and I'll probably even do a deck profile soon when I iron out everything with my build. But yep, that's about it. Thank you all for watching, and remember, Master Dinner Flex will take your soul.